Hello there, fourth graders. Happy Friday. I know might not be with you virtually in our Zoom classes today, but today I want to get you set up on what you should be working on. As you all know, we've been working on Chapter 3 of our Go Math workbooks, right? We've been multiplying two-digit numbers, so a two-digit number by a two-digit number. One strategy that we've learned is we can multiply by tens. As you can see over here, I have 3 equations that I can solve. Now I have a two-digit number by a two-digit number I'm multiplying. Now remember a new strategy that I introduced to you, and I'm going to go over the steps that we take to multiply these numbers together. Number 1, when we look at our equation, we find a basic fact. My basic fact here, I could find 3 times 2. Well, I know that 3 times 2 is 6, so I'm going to record 6 right there. When I'm done, I go back into my factors, and I go and I count how many zeros are there. I have one here, and then another one here, so I have 2 zeros. What I'm going to do is take those 2 zeros and put them on the end of my 6. So 3 times 2 might be 6, but 30 times 20 would be 600. Let's try another one. Down over here, I have 30 times 50. Okay, I go in there and I look at my basic fact. Well, I know I can multiply together 3 and 5, right? I know that 3 times 5 is 15, so I'm going to record 15. After, I'm going to go back in and look at my factors and count how many zeros I have. I have 1, 2, there's my 2 zeros. I'm going to put them at the end. All right, I'm not done with that one. I need to make sure that I have the comma in the right place. So what I do is I use my comma rule. I start at my smallest place value, which is the ones, and I count over 3 digits to the left. So I go 1, 2, 3, there's where I put my comma. So the answer here is 1,500. Let's try one last one. I have 40 times 20. Well, I might not know what 40 times 20 is, but I could definitely figure out what 4 times 2 is. 4 times 2 is 8. I record 8. I go back in and look at my factors, and I have 1, 2, that means I need 2 zeros in my product as well. 1, 2. My answer, my product, is 800. Okay, fourth graders, that was one strategy we worked with, multiplying with zeros. Let's watch what we're going to do next. Okay, fourth graders, I'm looking at these 2 equations here. They are much different than the ones that I just solved before. In this case, I don't have 2 zeros in my factors. I only have 1. Look, 30 times 24, 20 times 32. I only have 1 zero in each of the factors. Let's look at this one first. 30 times 24. Well, I don't know what 30 times 24 is. But one thing I can do is multiply 3 times 24. Now, we know from Chapter 2 how to multiply a 2-digit number by a 1-digit number, and that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to take my 2-digit number here, 24, and I'm going to write it vertically. I'm going to write 24, and I'm going to multiply it by 3. Okay, I set it up just like this, as if I would be using my Smart Pal and Expo marker. And what I'm going to do first is I'm going to multiply the ones place, right? So I'm taking my 3 down here, I'm going to multiply the ones place. And when I'm done, I'm going to multiply my 3 down here by the tens place. Watch how I do that. I take my 3 and first multiply it by the ones place. 3 times 4 is 12. Well, I cannot fit 12 into the ones place. So what I do is I regroup. Okay, I put my 2 ones down here, and I regroup my 1, 10 over the tens place, just like so. Okay, I'm not done yet. I need to multiply my tens now. So I'm taking 3 and multiplying it by 2. I know that 3 times 2 is 6. What I'm going to do with the number I regrouped is just add it. So 3 times 2 is 6. 1 more would be 7. And I record it down here. So 24 times 3 is 72. Well, I know that 24 times 3 is 72, so what I'm going to do is record 72, and I'm going to think, well, 24 times 3 is 72, so 24 times 30 must be 720. And I just put a 0 at the end there. Okay, let's try one more. I have 20 times 32. I'm going to work on right down here. 20 times 32. Let me erase this work just so we have more room to work with. Okay, much better. So I'm going to complete 20 times 32 just like I did for the same steps that I used up here for this equation. So I don't know what 20 times 32 is, but I could look at that and I could say, I know what 32 times 2 is. I know I can multiply a 2-digit number by a 1-digit number. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 32 and I'm going to multiply it by 2. Ooh. I'm going to redo that one. There we go. I'm going to set up just like so. There we go. Now let's solve. We're going to start in the ones place. I know I'm going to take my 2 and multiply it by the 2 in the ones place. These are the two numbers I'm multiplying together. I know that 2 times 2 is 4. Plug in my 4 right down here. I don't have to regroup anything because I just have 4 ones. So I'm going to move on to my tens place. I'm going to take my 2 and multiply it by these 3 tens. So 2 times 3, I know is 6. So I'm going to plug in the 6 in the tens place. That means that 32 times 2 is 64. So I'm going to plug in 64 right here. I remember that I need to add a 0 in at the end. So if 32 times 2 is 64, 32 times 20 is 640. All right, boys and girls, you're going to look in your Google Classroom just where you saw this video was attached, and you're going to complete your independent work. I will see you Monday. Have a fabulous weekend.